Hey guys, welcome to another ToraNin video. Before I get into today's video, I want to say a huge welcome to my new subscribers. We are currently at 96 subscribers and I am so excited to be a few subscribers away from 100. As usual, the ToraNin family is growing and that is only possible because of each and every one of you awesome people. Gratitude. Today's video is on Orochimaru and why I think his quest for immortality, his living corpse reanimation technique, and his cursed seals, specifically his cursed seal of heaven, might have been strongly inspired by the Otsutsuki. But first, we have to understand why Orochimaru embarked on this quest for immortality. Orochimaru himself explained that it was due to his desire to learn every jutsu, a task he realized could never be completed in the longest natural human lifespan. However, I wager that the true reason wasn't as self-serving as that. Remember, Orochimaru has always had a twisted view of the world, a twisted sense of friendship, love, mercy, and loyalty. Twisted as he is, he still has all of the previously mentioned values. As one of the legendary Sannin, and originally being teammates under Team Hiruzen, Orochimaru was friends with Tsunade and Jiraiya, often teaming up with them to fight the enemy together during the Second Great Ninja War. He witnessed the death of Nawaki, Tsunade's younger brother, and Dan, Tsunade's partner, and saw the pain, grief, and anguish those losses subjected her to. Remember, Orochimaru also lost his parents as a child, and we do see enough glimpses and flashbacks to know that this loss truly dealt a big blow to his psychological constitution. He already hated losing loved ones. When he witnessed the deaths of Nawaki and Dan and Tsunade's grief at those losses, I honestly believe it took him to the edge of his sanity. At this point, he truly became a tortured genius. However, this is not to excuse the many vile and evil things Orochimaru did for the sake of attaining immortality. As Hiruzen observed, and as I've said earlier, Orochimaru was a twisted man, a genius with an unhealthy desire for power and phenomenal determination. This means Orochimaru was blessed with the capability of problem solving and the willpower to actually get up and problem solve. However, his methodologies for problem solving were always going to be flawed and corrupted by his more villainous nature. Despite this, you can actually see where Orochimaru's heart truly lies and deduce the blueprint for his quest for immortality from his conversations, particularly this one with Anko. He ponders on the waste of human power or potential that lies in a dead body, most likely from witnessing someone as powerful as Dan die, taking all that power with him. He also admits that bringing people back from the dead is difficult. Notice it says difficult, but not impossible. He goes on to explain that humans can activate their bodies and become more powerful, and that he would share that power with Anko one day. He goes on to name the power, the body activating jutsu called the curse mark. So what have we established so far? Let's enumerate. Due to the deaths of his parents and the pain it caused him, and witnessing that same pain in Tsunade at the loss of a brother and her partner, Orochimaru despises death or the cessation of life. That pain, coupled with a natural desire for power and the determination to attain it, leads to the adult Orochimaru who has no moral reservations when it comes to doing whatever it takes to further his research into his solution to death and the pain of losing loved ones, immortality. Based on his conversation with Anko, it is clear that the loss of loved ones is a driving factor because he does state that it is difficult bringing people back from the dead. He also may have revealed a selfless side as he says he will share this power with Anko one day. However, Orochimaru is known to be eccentric and a puppeteer with his words, so this could have been a way to pull a young Anko on a string, further ensuring her loyalty. Regardless, it does not seem like Orochimaru's desire is to attain immortality for himself alone. If his selfless words with Anko here are an act. His pain at Kawaki's death or at Dan's wasn't. Finally, and most importantly, it is clear that the curse mark is a critical part of attaining immortality. Now that we understand a bit of the complex character that is Orochimaru and the driving force behind his quest for immortality, let's take a closer look at the solutions Orochimaru came up with to achieve this. We've mentioned one of them, the cursed mark or cursed seal. In this video, I'll be focusing on the cursed seal of heaven and not the cursed seal of earth, since the cursed seal of earth has not been shown to be capable of aiding with immortality. The other solution is the jutsu Orochimaru developed for transferring his consciousness from one body to the next, called the living corpse reincarnation. We'll start with this. The living corpse reincarnation is a jutsu which allows Orochimaru to essentially body hop every 3 years or so. It also happens to be the amount of time that passes before a body begins to reject his consciousness. When he activates this jutsu, he comes out of the body he's been inhabiting and reveals his true form, a white snake with a humanoid Orochimaru-like face, an unkempt version of his hair, and a long serpentine body consisting of smaller white snakes. He proceeds to engulf the target body, or as later shown with the white Zetsu body during the war arc, slither into the target body. During this process, Orochimaru takes the consciousness of the target host to a mental plane where he attempts to overpower and subdue them. If he is successful, then the body hopping process is complete. If he isn't successful and the target who subdues him, he can lie in wait for a moment when their chakra is low and take over their body during this moment of weakness. This is especially true if they have a cursed seal of heaven. Does this sound a little bit like Momoshiki taking over Boruto's consciousness when his chakra is low with karma? We'll get to that in a bit. But this consciousness outside of the body and then quickly inhabiting the other body of another being, essentially coexisting with them to some degree, is very similar to the Otsutsuki's ability to linger on after the partial or total destruction of their physical body and quickly inhabiting the body of the nearest suitable host, eventually taking over it. You could argue that there are differences, such as the fact that it isn't necessarily Orochimaru's soul that comes out of the body, but his true form as described earlier. But we have to understand that this true form is indeed the physical manifestation of Orochimaru, the consciousness. To buttress this point, Orochimaru does not body hop from white snake form to white snake form. He body hops from body to body as the white snake. The white snake appears to be the immortal part of him or the consciousness that needs a body. It isn't coincidental that through his research and manipulations of his physiology, that he would choose the white snake as the true embodiment of his consciousness. After all, the white snake represents reincarnation or rebirth. To Orochimaru, body hopping is simply the white snake shedding its skin as a consciousness would shed its skin and inhabiting another skin. This gives me Altered Carbon vibes too, by the way. But this is literally the same concept with the Otsutsuki. They can, in a sense, body hop if their physical body is destroyed by lingering on in a soul-like form long enough to impart karma on their target host. They can also do this while still being corporeal to have a host as a backup of them should they die. This leads me to the next technique Orochimaru developed, which effectively makes him immortal, the cursed seal of heaven. Again, Orochimaru hides the true intent of this cursed seal behind another reason given as a front. Call the front a half-truth. The half-truth of the cursed seal is that it is Orochimaru's way of harnessing Senjutsu chakra, since he couldn't master it due to his host body not being able to contain the power of natural energy. While it is true that the cursed seal of heaven does serve as a form of pocket or stored natural energy ready to be harnessed based on the way Jugo's clan harnesses it, it isn't the only functionality of the cursed Curse Seal. The Curse Seal is also designed to facilitate the development of the user's body into a suitable host for Orochimaru through repeated use, as well as gradually corrupting and degrading their mind with a thirst for power that ultimately leads them to seek out Orochimaru. This was essentially what he did to Sasuke when he gave him the cursed mark. While Kakashi tried to negate this process via the evil sealing technique, it only slowed down the process, and Sasuke eventually left the hidden leaf to become Orochimaru's disciple in order to obtain more power. Finally, every cursed seal of heaven, as far as we know, has a fragment of Orochimaru's consciousness. This means that even if you were to defeat the physical incarnation of Orochimaru in front of you and the true form, leaving no chance of a living corpse reincarnation, as long as there is the DNA of Orochimaru somewhere and the cursed seal, he can be revived using the evil releasing method. Do you see the karma similarities? Let's do a comparison. Karma is essentially like a cursed mark that an Otsutsuki bestows on a host they deem suitable. Not all hosts will survive karma being implanted on them, as we've seen in Boruto. Similarly, not all hosts survive receiving the cursed seal of heaven. In fact, there is a 1 in 10 chance of surviving after receiving the cursed seal of heaven. If a host survives receiving the karma mark, they are granted access to immense power through the mark. They can access this power by activating the karma seal, which then spreads over one side of their body in patterns of curved lines similar to triballs. These patterns literally glow or display a fiery luminosity to them as they impart the user with enhanced physical and potentially enhanced ninjutsu abilities. Similarly, when activated, the cursed seal of heaven also spreads in flame-like markings across one side of the body, and during the spread it literally does glow a flame-like orange that traverses through all of the spreading markings before settling into a similar black color of markings across half of the user's body. Of course, this activation grants the user enhanced power, chakra, and physical abilities such as speed, just like the karma does. Repeated use of karma appears to hasten the Otsutsification process of the user's body, and ultimately at a certain point when the Otsutsuki chooses to resurrect the user's mind as well. In fact, the Otsutsuki may have complete mental control of the user's body without resurrecting, as shown with the monk Jigen. Similarly, repeated use of the cursed seal of heaven aids in developing a host body into the suitable form for Orochimaru's inhabitants, while corrupting their mind in some sort of embedded pre-programming to seek out Orochimaru. This ultimately makes it convenient for Orochimaru, as he doesn't have to expend the energy to find them or bring them to him in order to use the first technique, the living corpse reincarnation technique, on them when the time is right. Finally, both karma and the cursed seal of heaven contain the consciousness of the bestower of those seals. As such, even if the bestower should die or be eradicated from existence, they could still be revived through either seal. In karma's case, it is a self-unpacking compressed file that eventually fully unpacks the Otsutsuki. In the cursed seal of heaven's case, it isn't self-unpacking. Someone has to deliberately apply a bit of Orochimaru's genetic material to the cursed seal to act as a body for the reviving Orochimaru, and then use the evil releasing method to revive him. There are certainly differences between Orochimaru's two techniques and that of the Otsutsuki, but these differences are usually based on the Otsutsuki's technique being more advanced in some areas, and Orochimaru's technique seemingly addressing certain drawbacks of the Otsutsuki's. One such drawback is that when an Otsutsuki revives, all other instances of karma for that Otsutsuki are automatically erased. There is no evidence that this is the same with the cursed seal of heaven. However, the similarities between the mechanisms of the living corpse reincarnation to the Otsutsuki's consciousness inhabiting the host body before bestowing karma, and the similarities of karma to the cursed seal of heaven are too strong to ignore the possibility that Orochimaru studied and developed his techniques based on the Otsutsuki's. As I said earlier, Could Orochimaru's relationship to the Otsutsuki go beyond simply knowing of and researching them? Could his ancestry also be traced back to them somehow? Could he know of this ancestry? Child Orochimaru has been depicted wearing a kimono or robe with the familiar matagama or tomoe shapes associated with the Otsutsuki, and descendants such as Hagoromo, his sons, and eventually the Uchiha through their Sharingan tomoe. This is the same matagama shape that adorns the clothing or skin of anyone who happens to take on either the Sage of Six Paths chakra, such as Naruto, or absorbs a large store of natural energy, such as the Ten Tails or God Tree, as was the case with Jubito and Madara. Orochimaru has also been seen wearing matagama earrings. Could this be just a coincidence? Is it also coincidental that the cursed seal of heaven is shaped as three tomoe or matagama? How many coincidences and similarities can we actually overlook? I believe everyone who has been depicted either forming attacks with this shape, or wearing attire with this shape, or having some chakra cloak or clothing with this shape on it are either related to the Otsutsuki or have attained chakra or power based on that of the Otsutsuki. Finally, there is the fact that Orochimaru, the very first villain in the Naruto series, is still alive and actively shown in Boruto. Could he be slowly being positioned to play a key role? If this theory about him reverse engineering the Otsutsuki's path to immortality or having some relationship to them is correct, he could be pivotal for the rest of the story. There are so many exciting possibilities, and it remains to be seen what will actually happen. What are your thoughts on this topic? Do you think it is a stretch? Do you think that we might be onto something? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to have discussions with you guys on this. If you have more context or information to share, do so as well. I'm always open-minded to your contributions. If you like this video, give it a like, share it with your friends, and while you're at it, hit that subscribe button along with the bell notification so you know when I release more content like this. Thank you so much for watching and supporting my channel. Till next time, Jana.